Hai, давай, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. And for some ungodly reason, you're still watching these things. Although it's understandable why. We offered the best pre-election analysis, so we're gonna try our best to offer the best post-election analysis. This time around, I'm gonna edit it back home, so it will be a better edit than the previous one. I'm once again at Daniel's. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here.
Our friends commented correctly that we really need a sofa, but just think about it. If we had a sofa, we wouldn't have been able to have this behind us. This would be a piece of history. You could auction it off 10 years from now.
She just won the, I mean, not she, her former husband, and unintentionally won this election by not being in it.
Right, so...
democracy won.
Democracy won, yes.
Dictatorship is over.
The dictatorship is over, the autocracy is over. Well, technically not yet, because Magyar Péter, at the moment of this recording, has not been invested yet as Prime Minister. I presume he will resign from the European Parliament to be Prime Minister.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be stupid.
I think so, yes.
It's much more power and much more money to be made here than in the European Parliament. But assuming nothing stupid happens by the time we publish this, Magyar Péter is the new Prime Minister of Hungary. What is the final tally? 138 seats for TISZA?
For now, but the foreign votes are still not counted, and those will probably favor Magyar Péter, you know, the people who fucked up to Debunking and Germany and all these places.
Why would you live unironically in Debunking? I mean,
I don't know, but...
the inflation notwithstanding, it's still a better living here.
But there is a sizable diaspora. I mean,
in UK,
London is the second biggest Hungarian city, so
yes.
So there's a sizable diaspora that always votes left, and of course they will probably vote Magyar Péter. And what he said today on his international press conference is that they are expecting to increase their seats to 140, 142.
142 would be exaggerated.
It would be probably, but they will probably increase seats. So for now it's 138, but it will probably be more than that.
Okay, let's say 140 and 58 or no, 51 for FIDESZ and 7.
54, I think.
Yeah, and 7 for Mihozang, something like that.
It was 6 when I looked at it, and if the calculation is correct for Magyar Péter, they might even lose seats by 1, so it will be 5 seats.
Right. I lost 100 forints, obviously. I'm not going to cry over it. I mean, ultimately, we'll have to quote our friend István Tálkány on this one. The final tally is FIDESZ 2.0, about 140 seats, FIDESZ 1.0, about 51, 54 seats, and Jobbik 2.0, 5, 6 or 7 seats, depending.
Yes, and to quote Balázs, Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Yeah, the day part, I don't know, but the Vox Populi for sure.
Vox Satan.
More like. I mean, again, the choice was between Baal and Baphomet, so Baphomet won, I guess.
Yeah. Out with the old commies, in with the new commies.
With the new commies, yes. We were watching sporadically the 3+ hour long conference held by Magyar Péter, his victory press conference. Of course, I'll never watch it in its entirety, but I was lucky enough to catch live the portion where a Deutsche Welle journalist asked in English about whether there's going to be a change in the Israel policy, because look, Orbán man bad, he rolled the red carpet for Bibi and whatnot, and Magyar Péter be like, it's a special relationship and it'll probably stay the same, and probably won't be that friendly with Bibi, but yeah, no.
Yeah, Lucian just caught this little moment, but I was watching it before he came. And essentially what I can gather is that everything is going to stay the same. You have to read between the lines, but essentially everything is going to stay the same. We are still going to, have pragmatic relationships with Russia, because geography doesn't change and oil comes from Russia. We of course want to diversify, but that doesn't mean we don't want to buy oil from Russia as well. And it essentially repeated every single policy that FIDESZ already had, like asking the people all the time.
Yeah, so he's going to do the sham referendum as well.
Of course, he says that it's not going to be like under FIDESZ, where they ask nothing from the people. We're going to really ask them, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yes. And he wants to appoint experts in his cabinet. Well, that's what Orbán has been doing as well, just saying. So God save us from the experts, because expertise is a communist trickery, as we say it here.
More like a Bolshevik, straight out Bolshevik one, but yes.
Well, out with the old Bolsheviks, in with the new Bolsheviks.
The Mensheviks won this time, right? It's quite astonishing, especially now after the election. Okay, fine, I get it. During the campaign, you don't spill the beans like that, I suppose. But it's been more than 24 hours since it's been clear, at the moment of this recording, that the fat guy lost. And we still have significant portions, vast majority of the foreign press still peddling the absolute lies about the winner. The liberals win. Which liberals? There were no liberals on the ballot to begin with. So there's that.
There were a few faggots in the TISZA party, for sure.
Yeah, but that doesn't make them necessarily liberals.
Yeah.
Again, one of the authors of the conservative constitution is a faggot as well. So,
yes, that's true.
So please stop stereotyping faggots, okay? Köszönöm szépen. But no, seriously now, it wasn't the liberals that won, it's just younger Orbán won. For the most part.
Yeah, new shiny slim fit Orbán.
Slim fit, yes. And we were probably correct in our prediction that he'll get a lot of votes from older women, because he looks amazing. I even heard some comments like that when I went down towards the stage. He's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm serious. Magyar Péter was on the stage. You can see the footage now. I was trying to get as close as possible to him, because I realized that I know one of his staffers, so I wanted to speak with that guy. I did, but as I was making my way through the crowd, some of the comments were like that. He's so beautiful. He's so handsome. And to be fair, that's not wrong, but it's kind of wrong that that's how democracy works, but whatever, this is what it is. More importantly, when he held that short speech, was like 40 minutes on the Danube.
Oh boy.
The guy likes to talk a lot.
I watched the victory speeches, or post-election speeches of the three main candidates that actually matter. And Toroczkai and Orbán was on point. They essentially talked about what happened and what's to come. And they were done in like 5 minutes. And Magyar Péter was just going on for... I switched it off after 10 minutes because it was just boring. It was nothing. It was just slop. He was talking about literally nothing, just buzzword after buzzword.
It was like 1 hour and something, the whole thing.
30 minutes.
Or 30 minutes, yeah.
30 minutes. And
so it was shorter than the pre-election speech. In the election night, he showed up on the Danube at the official event party, whatever, beer festival, socialization event, whatever you want to call it. Again, you can see the footage from it. And he held a short speech that was like 42 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. And in that speech, he mentioned vote buying from the gypsy areas. Yeah. And the three of us were like, yes, with your support.
He literally did that.
Yeah, I mean,
He was literally doing it.
I don't know in 2022, but in 2018, I know for sure there was the squad from the Ministry of Justice that did the logistics for the vote buying scheme in 2018. He was part of that squad, part of the leadership of that squad, in fact. So, you know, he would know a thing or two about vote buying from, especially from the GPO areas. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, everyone cheats. So, you know, I presume he did exactly the same logistics now, except for himself rather than for FIDESZ. Probably that was one that worked kind of to his advantage, because when he says things like these, if you're FIDESZ, if you're a shill for FIDESZ, how do you counteract that? You can't say it didn't happen, because everyone knows it did happen. And you can't say yes, but with your support, because that actually makes you look worse. So FIDESZ was caught unarmed with some of these tactics, because you know, how do you counteract that if you're a shill for FIDESZ? Of course, for us it's easy to say because we didn't care, but
they got buried under their own tactics.
Yes.
I mean, the reason why TISZA holds the parliament with such a super majority at the moment is because of the FIDESZ gerrymandering game and the winner-take-all system that they introduced.
Yes.
So it will be interesting to see if Magyar Péter and TISZA wants to reform the election system, because technically speaking, it's not in their interest.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they promised a system change and all that, and returning to democracy. So it will be an interesting test of how serious about that they are now that they essentially hold the entire country the same way FIDESZ held it for 16 years.
Mm-hmm. One of the promises made after the election was that we will try to reform the constitution to put term limits on prime minister, which unironically might be unconstitutional itself. Parliamentary republics specifically allow pretty much limitless terms for prime ministers, precisely because they're easy to overthrow. That's why. That's how Merkel stood in power for 16 years.
And he already wants to boot out the current sitting president. Súlyog Tamás, because he's a puppet. Well, of course he is.
Yeah, he wants to put his own puppet, I guess.
Yeah, and he already wants to put in his own puppet, who is, of course, not going to be a puppet.
Yes, of course.
Because
it will all be independent experts.
He will be an independent person, of course.
Yeah, okay, fine. Change the president. Who cares? Like, literally, who cares? The president of Hungary is the most irrelevant position. It's just like the president of Italy or Germany. It just doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is that term limits on the prime minister may not be constitutional, even under the articles of reforming the constitution. Or it can be done, I suppose, if you insist, but then it's no longer a parliamentary republic. You basically create a presidential republic, but you don't call the president president, you call him prime minister.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a bad idea, I suppose, but it's not necessarily a fundamental reform or a good idea either. It's like for show.
It will probably in the interest of the technocratic elite, you know, Western style. Where they have these media conglomerates that are private and all that, and essentially whoever switches into the job is just the next talking head for these kinds of private technocratic corporations, essentially.
So you mean the West? So you mean the West has FIDESZ, but because
but it's going to be a faceless FIDESZ, because ultimately Magyar Péter, in addition to being good-looking, he's just a faceless something. A big black box. Nobody knows anything. Even though he's talking about how open his government is going to be and how democratic and with the people and whatever, nobody knows what this guy is going to do. I mean, he's now telling some of it, and it's essentially exactly the same as what FIDESZ did. But
meet the new boss, same as the old boss, just younger and slim fit and better looking. And probably half of his team will be recruited from FIDESZ. One of the things that we were chatting as we were waiting for the results at Botyanti was that to run this country, you need about 80 to 85,000 people at the minimum. TISZA party barely has 30,000 people. So whether they like it or not, they're going to have to recruit another 60,000 people. Those cannot spawn immediately. They'll have to be recruited from somewhere, usually from the existent political class or bureaucratic class or whatever. or professionals, civil servants, whatever you want to call them. And almost all of those, especially those that are competent, are FIDESZ people. So he'll have to recruit from FIDESZ.
I don't think he will have much trouble with that.
Oh no, I don't doubt about it at all. But
they are just going to jump on the next grift because this is the new grift. This is going to be lucrative.
Yes.
So.
But the reason I mention it is for a lot of the foreign audience, foreign this time as in foreign from Hungarian politics. I mean, I'm a foreigner as well, but I've been. This is my third consecutive election spent here. And I happen to know a lot of things. And unfortunately, a lot of the foreign journalists who tried to cover this place, they were getting so many things, like basic things, factually wrong. But to be fair, they were in line with about 20% of the electorate, which also got things wrong. I mean, some of the conversations that I overheard last night, like creating me huge headaches. Some of the voters were incredibly naive, and those will be the first ones to be brutally disappointed in 6 to 12 months.
Do you know how he started today's press conference?
No.
He said that, after speaking for 25 minutes, and that the opening up of the questions was, now we do not have state propaganda anymore, like under FIDESZ, so now we are going to ask the independent journalists that have been surviving on the market up until now. And so let's start with Partizan.
Which is many things, but not independent. I'm surprised they didn't start...
Literally funded by Ned.
Yes. I'm surprised they didn't start with HVG, which were even bigger shills.
I mean, they went through all of these leftist shill news outlets first, the local ones.
I mean, Partizan is further to the left, but HVG were probably the biggest shills, naked shilling.
They went through Telex, RTL, which is German media.
Which is German media, yes.
Independent, of course.
Very independent. Well, it's independent from Hungary, that's true. But,
but
it's very much dependent on Berlin. To be fair to Berlin media, Politico actually had a very good analysis one day before the election. They waited until Saturday in the evening to actually publish it. We were joking that they probably watched our podcast first, which in the case of Politico is probably not true, but in the case of two Romanian media, it's probably true. That is to say, only in the Saturday night they said, look, at the end of the day, this guy is a black box and we have no idea what we're getting in. And he probably is another Orbán, but whatever. I was surprised to read that in Politico, of all places. They were probably the only ones that at least tried to be fair, even at the last minute, as opposed to pretty much everyone else, like Deutsche Welle and France 24 and The Guardian and all of those people who were like completely alien. I was reading their coverage and I'm like, I'm here and this doesn't resemble anything. They were covering a different country, effectively.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay, let's go through what really happened. We went to Székesfehérvár and Kecskemet, and I also went in the Békés County. And I even got to speak with the local FIDESZ boss there, who was a bit more pessimistic. He didn't expect such a defeat, but he did expect under 47%. Yeah. His prediction was, in the end, about 6% better than it actually the results showed, but still closer to reality than most of the polls. So even that. And we smelled it, especially in Székesfehérvár, where what geopolitics, who the hell cares? And that probably was a decisive mistake by FIDESZ. There were more Zelensky posters during this campaign than in the 2019 campaign that Zelensky won in Ukraine.
And just about nobody cared. I mean, who takes it seriously? I mean, what's Zelensky going to do to Hungary? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. He's a terrible villain. You can't really make him a villain. He's just the head of a poor country, essentially, right next to us, that's at war, and probably has better things to do than fuck around with Orbán. So.
Pretty much. And again, it seemed that Zelensky is on the ballot, the way FIDESZ framed the propaganda.
I did joke that, I should just go vote and write in Zelensky.
And as we were mentioning, and now there is a slow realization in the good people trademark circles as well. We were totally not joking, but I don't think people took us seriously in the previous podcast when we said, look, Magyar Péter is not a pro-Ukraine guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's many things, but not pro-Ukraine. In fact, his position on Европейский Союз membership of Ukraine is further more radical than Putin's.
Then again, that might have just been a propaganda take.
Still, before you vote, what you knew is that Magyar Péter said Ukraine shouldn't even join the EU, right? Which was more radical than Orbán's position, more radical than Vladimir Putin's position. So, that's why I find it astonishing that some of the pro-EU voters actually bought into the messaging that they're voting for a pro-EU and pro-Ukrainian prime minister. It's quite shocking. But then again, people are not stupid, people are fucking stupid. Go ahead.
I just remember that he also said that, well, we are going to, of course, have some disagreements with the EU.
Yes, which, again, is it really shocking?
No, of course not. Orbán light, Orbán slim fit, that's it.
And probably with more smiley face. The negotiation with the European Commission will probably move from very much out in the public, very noisy, to something more similar to what we do in Romania, which is a lot of cursing behind the closed doors, but smiley face in the public. I suspect that will be the style. Because ultimately, there are still fundamental disagreements. Okay, fine. Now the 2/3 of the European Parliament agrees with us on migration, so I guess there won't be that much disagreement there. But there's still going to be a lot on energy. There's still going to be a lot on unified taxation, on chat control, on digitalization. Heck, GDPR still doesn't work here, which is odd, but whatever. There's still a lot of, and there's still many infringement cases that will still go on regardless of the changing of the government. Not to mention that Hungary has a long backlog at the European Court of Justice. He'll still have to defend all of those, and I don't know what's he gonna do, fold the case because, well, that's Orbán's fault? No, you can't really do that. You still have to defend the case, which will necessarily mean clashes with the European Commission. For the committed pro-EU voters, there's a plethora of disappointments following just this summer and this autumn, really. But now let's go to the painful part, the economics. The economics, of course, probably eroded a lot of trust in FIDESZ because Orbánomics has been a shit tier, especially in the last 4 years, after 23.
After COVID, they just turned on the printing press and it went to complete shit.
And but by the same token, keeping the exchange rate artificially kind of low, which effectively led to Germany level of prices. I mean, on some items, I'm still shocked about how much I'm being grifted in this country. And again, I was prepared for this, and I always enjoy coming here, so I'm not complaining. But by the same token, I'm thinking, you have a large section of the population that lives on 400,000 forints or less per month. So, I get it why they wanted change. I really do.
I mean, one of the good moves that Magyar Péter already announced in his press conference is that he's planning to keep Varga Mihály at the head of the central bank, who was basically the only capable person in the FIDESZ government, like the only one who actually knew what his job was and how to do it. So
I suppose he's respected because he told Orbán no several times and still got to keep his job.
No, he's just not a complete idiot like Nagy Márton.
Fair. To be fair, it's a low bar, but yes, I agree.
So of course he is still a monetarist or Keynesian or something like that, but in that respect he is not that terrible of an economist. According to Hungarian standards, of course, he is not that terrible of an economist.
I wouldn't even call some of these people, and the same is true in Poland and especially Bulgaria these days. I wouldn't even call these people Keynesianist. I mean, if Keynes were alive, he would commit seppuku, seeing the economic
Keynesianism today has not that much to do with Keynes's theories.
Keynes actually proposed maintaining an inflation rate of 1% or less not double digits. He proposed lowering taxes to increase government revenue. I mean, comparatively speaking, Keynes is actually proper Keynesianism would still be progress for most of this region, Hungary included. So there's that. But nevertheless, as we were joking, and now the jokes are over because it's true. The option was to keep letting things getting worse or making them far worse.
Oh, yeah.
The voters decided to make them far worse.
Yes.
Because regardless of our opinion about Magyar Péter or TISZA party or whatever he's going to try to do is going to make things worse first.
Yes. I mean, he's essentially just promised the FIDESZ recipe, lowering taxes and increasing welfare.
Money printer goes brrrr.
Yeah, and supposedly how he is going to manage that is of course he's going to get rid of corruption and bring all the money back and get the money from the Evrasayus.
I suspect he'll get the latter part. The commission will have to reward him a little bit. But will that be enough? Probably not.
Yeah, but the thing is what the people underestimate is that yes, you allocate these resources and it's in the hands of some friends of the party and it's so terrible, but these resources are allocated there. They are in the economy. And just because you allocate it to someone else who is someone else's friend, it's still going to be the same economy. It's not going to increase anything. It's going to be the same thing. So...
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. I mean, it's funny, but it's also deeply unfortunate because the voters who are expecting some economic improvement are going to be having a brutal awakening again within 12 months or less. In a way, next year around the summer, we'll get to laugh, ironically or not, as in, oh, things are terrible, that's so great, you voted for this, now bend over, spread your ass cheeks and take it.
To be fair, in the first year they can write it off on FIDESZ. And in fact, FIDESZ has been writing off terrible economics for decades on Gyurcsány.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you can spin that in a propaganda setting, but nevertheless, it would still mean a significant minority, but the large minority of the population will be worse off.
It's going to be interesting to see how the coalition is probably going to break up, because TISZA at the moment is a very weird amalgamation of all sorts of people who only voted for them just to get rid of FIDESZ. And so now that they are in charge, they have to govern, and they have to govern with a 2/3 majority, which means everything that happens is their fault by default. And it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to splinter. It has to. It cannot stay together like this, because the only reason it come together like this is because everybody wanted to get rid of Orbán.
Yeah, the unification factor, the unifying factor was Orbán man bad.
And Orbán is gone. You voted him out. He's no longer with us. So what are you going to do? You know, the dictator is defeated. Now what?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Magyar Péter has a plan for his own clan, but I'm not sure he had a plan for governing with a 2/3 majority. I just don't think so. And even if I'm wrong about that, the actual implementation will necessarily suffer minor setbacks, because it is true. Some of the former voters of these people lined up behind Magyar Péter. And these people have entirely different objectives and different way of looking at governance, and even beyond ideology, just the technical way of doing things are entirely different in their view compared to, well, FIDESZ 2.0. So it might end up being the case that in theory you have a 2/3 majority, but in reality you actually have a coalition party thingy, and by bill some of them, you might see MPs from the party in power voting against them.
And you have to account for the fact that FIDESZ still received 2.5 million votes.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's still a very sizable chunk of the population. And you know that these people are committed to FIDESZ, because we can know from the results of the election that their propaganda didn't work. And so these are the people who are FIDESZ supporters anyway, even though the propaganda itself didn't work. And so you have to account for these people, and you have to.
They're not going anywhere.
And you have to account for the fact that FIDESZ is a sizable force in this country. And so when, not if, when TISZA is going to splinter into smaller factions, it's going to be something that you have to contend with.
Yep, and to make things worse, worse for TISZA, if you're, I mean, the 2.5 million people who voted for Orbán anyway, even despite the terrible propaganda, the terrible economics, and so on and so forth, these are very stable people. They're not anywheres, they're not bohemian bourgeois, like a significant chunk of the TISZA voters.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, they're literally not going anywhere. They'll still be there in their small places, wherever they voted from. And they'll still be there in 2030.
Yeah, and they are probably not the naive young people who voted for TISZA. Because, you know, there are people who were born in 2008 who were able to vote. And so essentially all they knew all their life is just the FIDESZ system, the NER system. And never saw 2006, didn't know, don't know how it was under Gyurcsány. And so they are probably going to be very disappointed to see how leftist governing is going to, well, sort of leftist governing is going to look like.
Yeah, there is the joke that the new parliament has the right, the further right, and the far right, and no left. But in reality, all three are kind of sort of leftists.
Yes, and they are still all socialists.
Yes, you're all a bunch of socialists.
Yes.
But you know, we're not supposed to say that, so we're pretending we didn't say it.
And I just have to say that the FIDESZians are just so sweet.
I got a short look, and yes.
I have a pet peeve with these people. I mean, these people have had their way for so long, you know, not even throwing a single bone to anyone. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted and didn't care and mocked everybody else. And they got overconfident and cocky and completely assholish, even with people who just had, you know, constructive criticism or, you know, legitimate criticism. They didn't accept any criticism. And their justification for everything, well, we have a 2/3. So, yeah, do complain, we just do whatever we want, and, you know, people like it, so fuck you. And that's it. Well, now you no longer have a 2/3 majority. Now people said, well, fuck you. We are voting you out.
Yes, which also, of course, ruins the entirety. Again, 3-4 days ago, we had the alarmist straight-up conspiracy theories in the mainstream Westoid press about, you know, but what if Orbán doesn't recognize the results? What if he does? Because, you know, Hungary is still an autocracy, it's a liberal regime. And I'm like, well, Orbán actually didn't even wait for the finishing of the count.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, well,
He conceded defeat very early on.
Very early on, yes, and emptied the building.
We still didn't understand the results by the time Orbán just accepted defeat. Because we were looking at this site, and it was weird how they showed the data.
Yeah, eventually they corrected it. There was a mistake in their own showing it, and that's why it didn't make any sense. They corrected it after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly made sense. So I suppose there was a programming error. Maybe the developer was wearing too many programmer socks or whatever. I just have to put that joke in there. But yeah, I mean, the autocrat conceded defeat, and, you know, the whole autocracy talk was so false for the entirety of these 16 years, and of course it's still false right now. You know, yeah, sure, you had a leader with the 2/3 majority. Now you have another leader with 2/3 majority, and the transfer of power was perfectly peaceful, and the illiberal autocrat was like, okay, I guess we lost. Enjoy.
Yeah. And, you know, all I can say to the FIDESZ people who are now crying and all sorty and licking their wounds is that this is all your fault. I mean, this is all, you deserve this. You absolutely deserve this, all of this. And to the people who are very hopeful about TISZA, is that, well, whatever you can say about Orbán, he was still a sort of a very humble and jolly fellow, mostly. And now you got a very arrogant, narcissistic guy who just really doesn't like criticism either. And so if you think that this is going to be less autocratic, then you are in for a bad surprise.
Speaking of younger people, I mean, it's usually the case that teenagers want to change things by any means necessary, right?
Yeah.
And you know,
And they always think that they are smarter than every single generation
yes,
before them.
yes. Some of them do mature pretty fast, others not so much, Zoomers. But eventually you have to find out the hard way that no, you don't know better. And you know, sometimes change for the sake of change is the terrible idea. And this is exactly what happened, change for the sake of change. Although, again, perfectly understandable, FIDESZ absolutely deserved to lose. Especially for their shittier propaganda, with the exception of the song. The song was good. But as opposed to TISZA, whose songs suck.
Yeah.
But other than the songs, generally speaking, the propaganda was better at TISZA, for sure. And not by much, but enough, obviously, as evidence the results. And FIDESZ's propaganda was monotonic. In the excessive focus on geopolitics in a country that doesn't give a shit.
I think much of the success was these online leftist podcasters that essentially created a counterculture, and essentially they won the country culturally, and that's how TISZA won.
Yes, because FIDESZ became ossified, because they do have their own ecosystem, which is actually not bad at all, but because it's full of too many people who are in for the shekels, and it's been for too long a very nice grift.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of the FIDESZ podcasters will be TISZA podcasters in a month or two. We already know that, and don't be surprised when it will happen, because it will. Just like so many of the technocrats from the FIDESZ-funded think tanks, they will be very much glad to be technocrats for TISZA-funded think tanks. Of course, the Hungarian taxpayer will pay for all of that, but it's just is what it is. Because even Magyar Péter himself effectively admitted that he was not willing to change the propaganda system, just basically change the leadership.
Rebranding it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of rebranding, but fundamentally the state propaganda system that currently exists will still exist.
Well, it's going to be unofficially a state propaganda system.
Yeah, it's not going to be up front. So, you know, you get a slightly less honest Orbán, effectively. Because, you know, Orbán was upfront about it. Yes, of course, it's a state propaganda system. I have a 2/3 majority, screw you.
Yeah, we have to let the people know about what we say. So that's why we are funding this. This is
pretty much.
Public information.
Yeah, public information.
Providing information to the people.
Yes. I will have a personal satisfaction about certain think tank people losing their jobs.
Oh, yes.
I have to admit, so in the last Romanian podcast before I left, I took the train to come to Hungary. I was even saying that I can't even say honestly that I want Orbán to win or lose, because I had something personal to gain regardless of the result. So now that Orbán lost, I gained something. I had fun last night. Genuine fun. I mean, that's why I even stood in the city even after you went to sleep, because it was just funny. a very twisted way, but very funny. I mean, I had fun, so I gained personally. I lost 100 forints, but but I personally gained from this. And also, some of the people who I really wanted to see them getting a kick in the teeth, they're getting it either today or tomorrow, because they're slowly being faxed in or emailed their decision. By the way, you're fired, which is great. I mean, some of these people absolutely deserve it, and they don't have any particular fault in the sense that they didn't make policy decisions, but they did make propaganda decisions, and they were wrong, and they have been wrong for like 2 years. Some of them, I told you so. I mean, I have the emails to prove it from about 2 years ago. Look, this is wrong. You're not doing it right. And I got told that I don't know enough about propaganda. I don't have enough experience in it. Okay, fine. That's fair, I guess. Especially with Hungarian politics. I mean, just 12 years, not much experience, of course.
Yeah. But you have to admire Magyar Péter a bit. Top man. I mean, he got kicked out of the grift, and now I'm making my own grift, and I'm taking away yours.
Yes, I'm physically replacing yours, and I'm taking over your grift in addition to having created already my grift, independent and just underneath yours.
Yes.
And you could have stopped me, but I mean, you could have tried to stop me, but well, you failed. So now you're fired. From that perspective, a personal grift story, Magyar Péter is definitely a success story.
Fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
This will have to be taught in history books.
Yes. I mean, he literally memed himself into power because, again, as late as Thursday, it was still not clear. The polling effectively diverged in the last 3 days of the campaign.
Yeah.
The moment I became firmly convinced that he will win, I couldn't predict a two-third majority, but I became firmly convinced he will win. I went to by the way, Hungary is an autocracy. The breakaway from the system concert that kept the entire Budapest awake. That's how I ended up to his concert, because it kept me awake. I wanted to sleep and I couldn't because of the noise. There was that noise, so I went to their concert, and it was cringe but high energy. And then on Saturday, I went to the tail end of Orbán's rally. Too bad I didn't get a FIDESZ flag. I'm still salty about it, but I did get this one. So, I'm still not empty-handed. I'm not coming back empty-handed into the propaganda basement. But Orbán's rally was low energy. And it was kind of sad already. And that was 30 hours before the first vote was cast, right? So that was like, yeah, you're probably losing it.
Yeah.
And sure, there were a lot of people, but it was low energy compared to the meetings, to the rallies in 2022, when they were much higher energy, admittedly with a weaker competitor, but still.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that they didn't make it worth our while for people like me. Okay, not exactly people like me, like,
You wouldn't have voted FIDESZ anyway.
Anti-social ANCAPs like me, but like right-leaning people.
Yes.
Like me, who should be their, natural allies.
Natural constituency.
They were simply not interested in maintaining this system, because what was this system giving them, really? Because, this was a Christian conservative right-wing government. Now, it was neither Christian nor conservative nor right-wing.
Yeah, no right-wing policy for sure. A bit of social conservative policy, but only mostly for show, and also combined with a lot of socialism, which kind of haram.
Yeah. And Christianity was essentially just marketing for them, nothing serious. I mean, they could have tackled abortion under 16 years, and they didn't do...
16 months. Weeks.
I mean, in the 16 years that they had, they could have tackled abortion.
Right.
But
no.
All they did is the heartbeat law, and even that was essentially taking it from duro dora. So, not much in terms of Christianity to speak of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that probably didn't help. That a lot of the natural constituency just didn't show up.
Yeah.
Because the foreign press noted the high turnout. About 300,000 people more voted than in 2022. Impressive, respectable, but not significantly more as the initial headlines had made it look like. But I think it's two phenomena at the same time. You had a lot of people who generally don't vote, bothered to vote, but also a lot of the natural constituency of FIDESZ stayed at home. Not as many, still, we were noting through the math that FIDESZ losing still got more votes than the opposition in 2022. So, everyone grew, it's just that TISZA grew faster.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that TISZA unironically won by the disaffected FIDESZ crowd. And so I did emphasize the Gyurcsány effect in the pre-election podcast, but I still think that we severely underestimated it. Because this is just how much of an effect Gyurcsány had on the voters. It's that many people were in the FIDESZ camp just because the other group was the Gyurcsány group. They were the leftists. And Magyar Péter successfully
split from that too.
Rebranded the entire thing. His messaging is essentially just 1848 stuff. Very, very Hungarian, very stereotypically Hungarian things in his promo videos, and it's all slop. It talks about nothing. It's just Hungarian shit. Here you go. It's just Hungarian stuff.
Yeah, slop, but in Hungarian. I was looking through some of the propaganda videos that you sent me, and then I politely asked the Google algorithm to keep on feeding me that. The problem is that he kept every second video he was feeding me back black metal, because I usually listen to black metal on YouTube. And I'm like, no, get me back to the slop, And although I recognize some of the scenes, so I know for sure that it's not LLM/AI generated, but they absolutely did look like AI generated.
Much of it is.
No, some of them were not, but they were shot so poorly that it did look like. I know for sure that some of them are not AI generated, but yeah, it's a lot of slop. But then again, it's an enshittified, slopified culture generally, not just here. All of Europe is enshittified and slopified culturally. So he played exactly into that. So the plebs want slop finally. Here's unlimited slop for you. Which it's also funny because, again, the liberal leftist press in the West, in West Europe in particular, emphasized the liberal credentials of Magyar Péter. But by the same token, his local propaganda was very much nationalistic. Not in a chauvinistic, xenophobic way, but definitely nationalistic, patriotic. Not too different from the old FIDESZ propaganda.
Yeah.
The hope that the Westoids have had, the hopes that they had from this new boss, they will dissipate pretty fast.
Yeah.
On social policy, probably within a month or two. Speaking of which, because one of the promises that I made is that if Magyar Péter wins, I'll show up fag moding to the fag pride parade, which is 2 months from now or something.
Late June.
2.5 months from now. I will show up, which by that time, so 2.5 months from now, by that time, probably some of the Westoids will become convinced that they got tricked into supporting someone that actually despises them. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. If I were Magyar Péter, I would be a little bit more fag tolerant with the messaging.
Yeah.
But then just keep the policy that I inherited. That's what I would do if I were him. We'll see if he does that. It's the most logical move, which is why I expect he will do exactly
Then again, the FIDESZ policy wasn't even that anti-fag.
I know. Hungary has a civil partnership, Romania doesn't. Slovakia has it banned through constitution. Romania just doesn't have it. Poland has civil partnership. Croatia has it banned through the constitution. There's no talk about the illiberal regime in Croatia or Slovakia or Romania. There was all the talk about Orbán being illiberal, even though on this topic it's definitely more liberal than the neighbors.
The only truly anti-fag policy that they did introduce was completely unsuccessful. It's the banning of the gay pride.
Yeah, it was held.
Yeah. It was held.
Yeah.
They banned it, and then Karácsony held it anyway, and made the establishment look like a bunch of fools.
Because the police was unwilling to try to enforce it violently.
You have hundreds of thousands of people out there. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and at least half of them were foreigners, so it would look pretty.
Yeah, are you going to fine all of them? Of course not.
Yeah, and trying to start beatings would look pretty horrible, so we don't want to do that.
This is not Russia. I know.
Yes.
I know every single leftist says that we are just like Russia. No, we are not Russia. and it doesn't look that good here.
Yeah, but it would have been terrible. And besides, the march was technically speaking authorized, and sure, the government challenged it in court, but by the time the court had a say on it, the event had happened already. I suspect there will be less challenges this year, but I'm pretty much sure that the national government under Magyar Péter will just have no opinions and will just ignore all of it.
Yeah. I mean, they ignored the entire affair last year. They just stayed away from it completely.
Yeah,
they didn't engage pro or contra.
Against. Yes. That's probably the winning, the part of the winning strategy that obviously worked for TISZA. They stayed away from all of the hard shit that is too controversial but ultimately meaningless.
Yeah.
So no, faggotry, gyurcsány, very specific examples of corruption. I mean, we're anti-corruption. Okay, can you give us 3 examples? Actually, no, we won't. Specific examples of corruption, nope, we're not going to talk about that. Only going to talk about things that Magyar Péter did himself to challenge, to bait FIDESZ into saying that it's not true. FIDESZ didn't take the bait to their credit, because if they had, the results would have been even worse. Basically navigated this in such a way that created enough the impression that they're not the old gyurcsány left. To be fair, at least in part, it is true. I mean, again, this lady ran separately. What's the final tally? 0.8 or 0. Something?
No, that was MKKP.
No, MKKP. 1 point something.
They had 1.19 or something like
1
that.
point something, right. So 1 plus VAT. Okay, I get it.
30,000 people voted for them. I looked at the number. 30,000.
That's a lot of people, actually. It's at least 32,000 too many, but...
Well, it's a small town somewhere.
Somewhere, yes. Or a suburb of Budapest, one of the smaller ones. Yeah. But I'm still surprised that 30,000 people actually, woke up, put on a nice clothing, because, the weather was a bit shifty, so you had to have 2 types of clothes with you, go to the polling station to vote for Clara.
Still not every single AVO officer is dead.
True. Too bad that we don't have here in Hungary any sociological study that gives us a breakdown by age, because you're probably right. The median voter age for Mrs. Dobrev probably be around deceased, but not deceased yet, so soon to be deceased. But nevertheless, that was probably successful for TISZA. Every single block of these things helped, right? We're not gyurcsány, and by the way, we don't give a shit about all of that Westoid progressive shit. We're just not going to talk about it, which, if it didn't bring extra votes, it definitely preserved their votes. It didn't lose them anything.
When we were in the metro last night, and the kids were celebrating all around the place, and they started chanting Kossuth songs. And, Magyar Péter himself quoted Kossuth in his victory speech and today as well. So he is clearly giving this 1848 theme. And to be fair, it does remind me quite a bit of 1848, where you have this essentially a grifter bullshit artist and a very ossified old system that nobody really likes. And essentially just creating his own movement and then creating a huge fuck up that just makes everything worse.
Yes, but because the old system is so dislikable, nobody's going to cry for it, at least for a while. And sometime in the future, maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe 4, but at some point, enough minds will be like, you know what, maybe we actually made things worse.
That's the 1867.
Yes. But now the inertia is much shorter because of the fast travel of information. So, FIDESZ can be hopeful in 2030, unironically. Because they will be able to argue, again, very much truthfully, okay, you tried with those guys, isn't it worse?
And that's one of the actual running conspiracies that has been around for like 2 years already. So ever since Magyar Péter began, is that Rogán Antal created Magyar Péter to take over the opposition and then win. And govern terribly, and so that FIDESZ
can look good by comparison.
Can rule for another 20 years.
Now, I don't know about another 20 years, but in 2030, unironically, FIDESZ can be very much hopeful, and they can start the campaign now.
Yeah.
Because, as the leader of the opposition,
whether it's much easier to be in opposition.
Yes, and whether it will be Orbán or someone else, which is an interesting discussion in and of itself, who's going to run FIDESZ now? Is going to still be Orbán or someone else? I don't know. Probably Orbán for the short term. But as a leader of the opposition, they can say, well...
I think they should get rid of him, but I don't think they will, because he just has such a personality cult. And so much of the FIDESZ system is based on Orbán, like completely on Orbán. I don't think they will get rid of him, but I think they should, but they won't.
Yeah, in 2030, we will see. It's a long time until then. A lot of things can happen. But they would probably be advantageous for them to run with someone else at the front seat. Sure, Orbán can still be Minister of Foreign Affairs or whatever, but just don't be the front seat. Just put someone else there. Maybe Varga Judit. Why not? That would put a cute smiley face on it. Because, then it would be a fair competition. It's easy to mug Orbán when you're Magyar Péter, but go ahead and mug Varga Judit. That would be a bit more difficult, I'm just saying.
That would be 6D chess on a level.
Yes, which is why I don't think it will happen, because FIDESZ is not capable of thinking that far. But yes, there has been a lot of tears and conspiracy theories running around in the last 2-3 days running up to the election, and immediately after the election, everyone that had their conspiracy theories already written, just waiting for the result to know which one to click publish. I know for sure several of these right-wing dissidents, whatever, in the West, or who write in English or speak in English, or often they unironically had their hate pieces already written in both scenarios, just in case. Which, again, I'm not saying it as a negative judgment. I had exactly the same for the Romanian elections. I had the articles already written, depending on who wins. But the tears from there were a little bit weird. But I loved them for one simple reason. I actually think our region, not just Hungary, but all of our region, from Lithuania to Bulgaria, we can't be friends with Westoid leftists because they're all totalitarian racists, like all of them. But we can't really be true friends with these weirdos on the right, on the Westoid right, because, they're just crazy people. So as a result, I'm very glad that now, because they're upset that Orbán lost, they suddenly have a change of heart and say, well, look, but ultimately Europe is a more violent place. Yes, we are Mordor. Do not come here. Stay there. Enjoy your place. Watch out for the stabbings and the acid attacks, but please stay there. Yes, this place is very dangerous and very unsafe and corrupt and poor. Yes. So please don't come here. Speaking of that, it was surprisingly polite, the whole celebration, especially the unofficial one. Sure, a bit noisy, I guess, especially in the metro and whatnot. But ultimately, I was, because I took the same line today several times, nothing seems to have been destroyed or negatively affected. A bit of trash here and there, but it was already cleaned up by the morning. But other than that, it was pretty chill. So, going back to your point that, look, we're not Russia.
It's just white people being amped.
Yeah, and a bit, maybe a bit too much alcohol, but
and some drugs.
And some drugs, but then again, this is Eastern Europe. Alcoholism is not exactly a new thing.
Yeah, no,
there's a reason,
especially not here.
Anywhere. There's a reason why the top 10 most alcoholic countries, 9 of them are in Eastern Europe. Globally speaking, right? In Europe, it's even easier because it's only one Southeast Asian country that sometimes makes it into the top 10. It's usually us. Well, not the two of us. We actually don't drink alcohol that much, but definitely our fellow countrymen do.
Oh, yes.
So it is what it is. Okay, let's get a little bit into the part that matters less, right? From the 5% downwards. So we talked a little bit about what happens to the people who got left out of the TISZA big tent. This would be one of them, and the whole Gyurcsány clan and whatnot, which is amazing. Gyurcsány hasn't been a thing in politics for 20 years, and he still had an effect. not being associated with the opposition had a positive effect for the opposition, obviously. They won. And in 2018 and 2022, being part of the opposition had a depressing effect on the opposition, which benefited FIDESZ. But besides the Gyurcsány clan, everyone else seems to have disappeared, effectively.
Yeah, from the except for Mi Hazánk.
Except for Mi Hazánk, yes.
Who didn't grow as I predicted, because much of the air was sucked out by TISZA. So both.
That was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that was a genuine surprise, because simply the turnout was big, which is not so good for smaller parties like Mi Hazánk, and also TISZA just sucked out so much air that nobody. Okay, Median research predicted it, but but only by accident.
By accident, yes. We were discussing that before. Only 1% of the votes had been counted at that moment. So Partizan, the TV station, was only publishing the Median study. The problem with Median is that they were wrong like 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And we were saying that, look, if this time they're right, it's going to be purely by accident because the methodology was shit.
Yep.
And yes, they were right by accident because, again, with that methodology, there's no way you actually made the prediction correctly. It just so happened. You flipped a coin and it fell correctly. Really is what it is.
Broken clock is good twice every day, so.
Yeah. So that's even better than Median. But because it's only a partially broken clock. So a partially broken clock is usually good once every several months, right? And that's basically Median. A shout out to Atlas Intel for finally not being wrong. Atlas Intel actually got the closest to the result. Again, partially by accident, but at least they had a methodology that was closer to reality. Here I should probably say this, although it's a bit technocratic. The reason the polling have gotten so shit after, even before Trump 1.0, around 2015, polls got in shitified, is because the world has changed.
Yeah.
You no longer have enough, you do have enough people, but you don't have enough representative sociological groups that still have landlines. So the standard polling methods don't work. Online polling worked for a short while until the algorithmic enshittification hit every single online platform, which made sampling, again, not impossible, but very difficult. Street interviews were still a good idea until 2020 when people became antisocial. So now good luck getting street interviews. Additionally, in Hungary, it was always difficult to get street interviews. Now it's even more difficult than it was before 2020. And again, it was already hard mode. We lived through that a little bit. Very difficult. So, I'm not trying to defend the pollsters. Again, 3/4 of them had just shittier methodology, so it's their fault. But even those that had good methodology struggled quite a bit because there's so many factors that work against you as a sociologist. So unless you have a large operation and several relatively strong minds to adapt the strategy in real time and then moderate the results.
I think this time around, FIDESZ was genuinely surprised by the results. So this means that their internal polling was also wrong. And so they didn't expect...
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
They didn't expect these results.
Yeah, the FIDESZ insider that I spoke with a day before the election, on Saturday, was expecting that if we lose, we were going to lose by 1 percentage point, and if we win, it's going to be 44 or 45% for FIDESZ. It turned out to be 38 in the end, so that's significant margin of error for internal FIDESZ policy.
And these are the people who have been basing their entire governance on opinion polling, their own internal opinion polling.
Yeah, they have
every single policy they implemented, they carefully looked at how this is going to affect the polls, how this is going to bring us more people, more popularity, and where is it going to lose popularity. And that was the measuring rod for every single policy they introduced for the past 16 years.
Yeah, and it worked very well until it didn't.
Yeah.
So, and again, this was a situation of FIDESZ being too old and too ossified, and they just didn't realize that the world changed underneath them.
Yeah.
Because it's not just Hungary that changed. There's been plenty of surprises in Czechia, Robert Fico should have lost but didn't. Came back to power out of fucking nowhere. In Croatia, there's been 2 consecutive surprises at this point. Heck, in Romania, 2 consecutive surprises. The establishment lost twice within 6 months after never losing ever on a presidential election. So, there's been a lot of surprises. The whole region changed, and the change is pretty sudden. Most of it was predictable, but if you're too ossified, you don't get to adapt. You don't have enough time to adapt. And this is why the conspiracists who say that this whole is a creation by Orbán, they're right in the sense that they look at things post factum and they just simply can't imagine that what if, these people are just too old from the FIDESZ system, the leadership anyway, they just didn't know. They reacted too slowly and they just...
And also if you're a grifter, you're just lazy to adapt. You just don't. You just assume that the grift is going to go on forever. Well, fun fact, no. Every single grift has to end at some point. And apparently, I expected it a bit later, but apparently the FIDESZ grift ended now.
Yeah, whether it's an end or a pause remains to be decided 4 years from now. Because, okay, let's look a little bit at the first year of governance. How would the first year of governance by Magyar Péter will look like? So, on one hand, sure, they're going to get some money from the European Commission. Of course, Ursula von der Leyen will reward, at least at the beginning. But then there will come the tough decisions, like, further sanctions on Russia, unless Russia folds, which, by the way, they should, but that's a discussion for another video. But, unless Russia folds, there's going to be another discussion on Russia sanctions. This time, the European Council will have the new Prime Minister of Hungary. What will he do? He just announced that he wants to have good relations with Russia, so I suspect it will still be an Orbán style of blackmailing. Probably less spectacular, but nevertheless. So that would be the first disappointment. Then, fixing inflation cannot exactly be done without attracting more foreign investment. And to attract foreign direct investment, you would have to try to lower taxes and maybe lower some of the regulations, which...
Yeah, but then you would have to also cut spending.
Which I don't think they want to.
Which they won't be doing. And it would be also interesting to see if they are going to lift these price caps that FIDESZ introduced.
I keep on forgetting that this country has price caps.
Yes, we do.
That's a very Ceausescu thingy, but yes. And also, of course, the VAT, the 31% VAT mogs even Denmark at this point. And, Denmark...
officially 27%, but with every single other tax accounted, it's 31%.
And there's an extra fiscal burden that is harder to see, like smaller taxes on all sorts of things that just keep on piling up. I was joking in the group, so maybe I should say it in public as well. I saved up at least 200 euros on this trip by just buying forints from Romania. Because there's a tax on foreign currency inside Hungary. So it's literally more expensive to get forints where they're printed rather than from somewhere else, which is shocking. It's that would be a tax that can be easily abolished and would probably increase a little bit the confidence of potential foreign investors, because that's one of the things that the foreign investors hear and be like, what?
I think what they are hoping for is to shrink the state by getting rid of the FIDESZ grifters. But as I said, that's not going to work like that. Because, it's the same institutions, you just put other people at their head, you still have to fund them. And supposedly they are going to spend it well and, not on villas and stuff like that. But how much of the actual economy is really about Mészáros Lőrinc's villas? Because Mészáros Lőrinc owns hotels, they employ people. Yes, lots of shekels are in his name, but essentially these are institutions that employ people. And so if you take money out of there, then you create job losses there. And those people have to go somewhere, and you still have to fund something.
Yes, and also I'm sure there are plenty of hungry people within Magyar Péter's inner circle.
Of course.
They will want their own grift.
Of course.
Is that
I mean, the people who got him elected will want their own cut, like the independent media.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Partizan's budget will increase, so will Haverge. I wouldn't even blame Magyar Péter for doing exactly that.
Of course.
Because this is...
They are already shilling for me, might as well pay them to keep shilling for me.
Yes, and it is how politics is done everywhere. It's not an Eastern European thing, it's a global thing, it's a human nature thing. You're going to reward your friends, at least because they got you elected.
Yeah.
And, because if you don't, well, next time around, they will not reward you. And
yeah. And that's what people don't understand about democracy, because everybody talks about autocracy versus democracy. No, it's really all just an oligarchy. So just because you get rid of the king, it's still going to function the same way. Mm-hmm. You have some top guy and a circle of oligarchy, or no top guy, and just the oligarchy. Mm-hmm. It's either this or that.
You still have a board of directors, effectively. Yeah. And the board of directors can be more dynamic, like here, or like in most of Eastern Europe, really, or can be more static, like in Russia. But generally speaking, there's still a board of directors, effectively. And there's people who get in or get kicked out or get rich enough to get in or whatever. It always happens like that. But we still have to keep on pretending that it doesn't, for whatever reason. And it's suddenly less democratic if we notice this. I mean, Germany has, by the way, Germany, just like Russia, has the same board of directors for so long. Now at this point, unironically, Hungary is more democratic than Germany because CDU still hasn't severely lost an election. In fact, they just won again with Comrade Merz. And they've been in government all the time for almost uninterruptedly for like 40 years at this point. With one tiny exception in the early 2000s, whereas FIDESZ actually lost, right? So we never called Angela Merkel a dictator, but we called Orbán a dictator who, unlike Angela Merkel, lost an election, conceded defeat, and fucked off.
Yep.
So I mean, everyone will have to flip their discourse at this point, especially all of the grifters, whether it's
well, they don't have to, and they won't.
The Westoid grifters will, eventually someone will remind them, hold on a second, wasn't that the autocracy? Because that's the problem with the internet and the discourse circulating faster. You can't really pull Orwellian shit that easily as you could prior to 2015 or 2010 even. Because now the inertia is so short that eventually, even though in an age of short attention span, eventually someone, hey, hold on a second. It's like literally 2 minutes ago, it was a different thing. And it will create, especially internally, it will create enough of question marks. So, okay, economically they can try to reward their friends, and again, they should. I mean, I would be shocked if he doesn't.
If they want to successfully govern, they have to.
Yes, because you still need to shill unpopular policy.
Yeah. And
you need shills for that. And, some of the think tanks that currently shill for FIDESZ will probably become the shills for the new power. After that, replacing what? They're going to probably try to do some court reform, I guess, because or maybe not, because actually he ran the judicial system. So he probably knows already all of the relevant people. He probably doesn't need to do justice reform, to be honest, now that I think about it.
Yeah, he himself is a lawyer. So
yes, I know.
He knows everything.
Yes, and if he could run the logistics to buy votes 3 times, or at least 2 times, 2018 and 2026. I don't know about 2022 because I didn't care then. Why not? I mean, he could run the whole team again, only this time as prime minister rather than a part of the board of directors. So he doesn't have to do that. As for constitutional reforms, that would be interesting. Term limits for prime minister, which is okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's the only thing he announced for so far.
Yeah, and electoral reform, but at least from the speeches before the election, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't heard anything about how will that electoral reform look like.
Has he talked about that?
No, he just said we're going to try to do electoral reform. That was about a week before the election.
As I said, they have a strong disincentive.
Yes. I wouldn't. I will just be honest.
I mean, if I were Magyar Péter, I would just simply gerrymander the districts to fit more what they want.
Yes, yeah, maybe that, or I just wouldn't do anything. There's no reason to do electoral reform. And by the way, we're all pretending that the electoral system in Hungary is so special and weird, but it's really not.
No.
It's a mixed DONT system, very similar to the one used in Poland, and very similar to the standard parliamentary system in the interbellum, right, in the interwar period.
Yeah.
In fact, in the interwar period, all of Eastern Europe had this system in which the winner got an extra 10 percentage points or whatever to make it easy for the winner to actually govern. Or if because there was a situation, I think in 32 or 36 in Romania, where the winner got 39 and the electoral system was like plus 10. So it got 49% of the seats, still not enough, but only needed a small party to. Whereas with the standard parliamentary system, like in the Netherlands, you need those 5-party coalitions which are never stable.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying, I mean, I like the Dutch system more because I like unstable politics. Unstable politics means stable society and stable legislation. So there's a lot to be said about unstable government. But if you want to favor stability, which tends to be very much the preferred way in Europe, then yeah, this system of the winner takes it all works. I'm not saying it's good or bad. There's just nothing really that special. Hungary is not special with this one. There have been multiple attempts, and again, Poland still has that mixed DONT system, and Slovakia as well. It's pretty standard, right? Especially if the difference is big, and in this case it is.
Yeah.
Now you got 52, 53%.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, why shouldn't the guy that got 53% not run and be able to at least attempt constitutional reforms, because they'll still have to pass a referendum, I think. Why not, right? Giorgia Meloni has been trying the same thing with only getting 39%. So
yeah.
That's oh, by the way, Giorgia Meloni, wasn't she supposed to become a fascist dictator or something? That's one of the many reasons why the mainstream press is starting to get things wrong so often, because they lied so many times.
It's believing your own lies.
Yeah,
and reducing the world to memes.
To a few memes and a few talking points and a few
and that's how FIDESZ lost, by the way.
Yes, yes. I mean,
believing your own lies and reducing the opposition to memes, and not taking it seriously enough, which you should have.
Yes, that is probably something that I don't think it's controversial to say. FIDESZ did not take Magyar Péter seriously, even after the colossal beating in the European elections.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, in FIDESZ's defense, generally the European elections, pretty much anywhere in the European Union, they do produce honkish results that are not then repeated in the national results. Right? Like UKIP in the United Kingdom won every single European election from 2004 onwards, yet they've never been in the UK Parliament. Right? Front National in France has been winning every single European election for the last 20 years, but they're still not in power. They probably will be soon, but it's a long overdue. So, in a lot of countries of the EU, the European Parliament looks very different than the national parliament. So I suspect that was the copium at FIDESZ. It was a fluke. It was the European elections, which are taken less seriously. Many countries send their failed politicians at the European elections, so maybe it was a fluke.
And it's just still the inner city hipsters and
yes, yeah.
Well, apparently not.
No, yeah. Thank you for reminding me that the electoral map is actually quite shocking.
Yeah.
Again, even for those who expected to win, they probably expected a different electoral map. Yeah, so that's probably why I'm leaning towards believing the analysts that TISZA convinced a lot of disaffected voters who would have voted FIDESZ or stayed home to be like, you know what, fuck it, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. Because that electoral map doesn't show up at random.
We need some fresh air.
Yeah, let's
let the TISZA overflow.
Yeah, that's also, how did they come up with the name?
It's for Tisztelet és Szabadság pártja. So,
right.
Pártja, so the party of respect and freedom.
And freedom, yes.
And TISZA because Hungarian branding.
Right. I hope
TISZA flows from Ukraine.
Yes. Yes, TISZA flows from Ukraine, which is, I suspect that's why everyone thinks he's a pro-Ukrainian guy. Unironically, would be a more solid argument than anything, than anything he ever said on policy. But who knows? Maybe their re-election effort will be led from Szeged. I mean, that would be fun.
But the name is essentially just random bullshit. The same way everything about this party and about this man is just random bullshit.
Yeah, but as it turns out,
it's effective random bullshit.
Yes, so it's definitely not random, because someone had to think about these things. But if it's random, then that because it's I can believe luck in one or two things. I cannot believe luck in 20 consecutive things. So no, someone actually thought about these things.
Yeah, I mean, okay. In the sense, it's not random that it's Hungarian themed. I mean, and the guy himself is called Peter the Hungarian.
Yes, and he leaned in on that successfully. Obviously, my name is Peter the Hungarian. Okay, fine. Here's a lot of Hungarian slop, and they're like, oh, the plebs are gulping it. Here's some more. And just memed himself into power, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, can he meme himself into competent governance? That turns out to be...
this is the now what part.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure he has a personal plan for his own grift. I'm just not sure he has a personal plan for how to actually govern and get re-elected.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's doable.
But depending on how successful he is in essentially breaking down the old system.
And whether he wants to.
I mean, like either absorbing it or just deconstructing it completely. It will be interesting to see if he's going to, just build his own. Just exactly the same, but his own.
Just like he built his own grift after he got kicked out of the other grift.
Perhaps he could even do it smarter than Orbán did, and pay off more people than just the inner circle. And the plebs probably would like some stuff, and he might be able to do FIDESZ 2.0, like NER 2.0, unironically.
Yeah. That's an idea.
But then it would be interesting to see the leftists that now they are the autocracy. So now what?
Yeah, then we're gonna create counter propaganda that Hungary is a communist autocracy or something like that, and faggotry is mandatory.
It has been a communist autocracy so far.
Well, yes, but yes, there was that meme. I don't know who posted it first or where it was from. It was like in the metro in Budapest, if Magyar Péter wins, and the next station is Ursula von der Leyen Tér. We'll remind everyone that heterosexual activity is only permitted in designated areas.
The one I saw was with Magyar Péter celebrating electoral election in 2010, 2014, 2018, 22 and 26.
Yes. To be fair, generally when you make a surprise win, or even if it's not a surprise, even if you expect it to win, if you are the change, if you are the politician that comes in to change things, you make the most radical decisions within the 6 to 12 months in the first term, because there's enough time for the results of those to emerge by the end of the term, whether it's a 4 or 5 year term, 4 in this case. So by that time, everyone forgot the negative effects of your initial policies, and you may even sell them that, look, it was hard the first year, but here's, thanks to those results, now I can deliver stuff. Millet even did that, although in the case of Millet, the emergency was so severe that he could afford not to give a shit. So, anything bad or good from Magyar Péter, we should be seeing it this year. Yeah, effectively. But again, judging by the press conference, it doesn't seem that he's that revolutionary after all. His fans are revolutionary, but he doesn't seem to be that revolutionary.
It's going to be interesting to see how quick will they realize that.
I suppose that's the next bet. So should I bet another 100 forints?
How long till the next corruption scandal?
That's the thing. I don't think there will be a corruption scandal this year.
Is that so? Not this year, but
Because, you know, corruption scandals require a judiciary and require an investigative press.
Yeah.
Well, the investigative press shield for him, and the judiciary already knows him really well.
Yeah.
So who is going to do the corruption scandal? Is former shills?
Former FIDESZ operatives?
Former FIDESZ operatives, okay, but you know, they do have the problem that they'll have to leak things in such a way that is not self-evident that FIDESZ leaked them, because otherwise it's not effective. Even the truth can be problematic if it comes from the wrong source. You know, if it's a corruption scandal that starts from FIDESZ, but it's about TISZA in December, let's say 26, that's still too close from this moment, and it may not be believable. So you need an independent to...
The first splinter groups?
Oh.
Because for now, of course, nobody knows anything about TISZA and the brand itself. Not even the people who worked for it. You know, there's a very small inner circle. You talked about this, how secretive it is.
Yes, that's why the promise for a more transparent government is like...
But when you govern, you have to land somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not land somewhere. You have to do something, or do nothing. That's also landing somewhere.
Doing nothing is still an option.
That's also landing somewhere. So
Yeah.
not doing something or doing something, but you have to do something. And whatever you do, you have to land somewhere. So that's when the first splinters have to start, with people not agreeing with a particular policy.
I don't know when the first splinter group will appear, but I know which one will be. It will be the deeply committed pro-EU people. Because it is unavoidable that those will be disappointed the first.
And many of those are journalists. So...
And all of those kids with the EU flags that we saw last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think those people will remember fondly of last night.
So that's where the first corruption scandal may come.
I don't know about the corruption scandal, but I do know that the new administration will necessarily disappoint those people really fast. Maybe not this month or next month, because soon enough the European Parliament and the Commission go on vacation.
Yeah, it's summer.
Yeah, almost nobody works, because, you know, this is Europe, working is optional. But, you know, by September or October, it's going to be some negotiation with the Commission will necessarily go wrong, and Magyar Péter, whether he likes it or not, he's going to have to pull a FIDESZ and be harsh with Ursula von der Leyen. Maybe you'll get what you want, maybe he won't, but that will be a moment where the journalists and the very young kids who unironically believed last night that they voted into freedom will figure out pretty fast that that's not true, and it has never been true, and it was all a lie. That will be the first splinter group, in my view, because it's unavoidable and it's the easiest one to piss off, and that's also the smallest group that the TISZA coalition can just dispose of without much of a cost. If anything, they might increase their popularity by disposing of the most annoying part of the coalition.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, the deeply committed pro-EU voters, at least in Eastern Europe, are never more than 3 percentage points of the electorate, and I'm being generous with the 3 percentage point. And their role is the most annoying, the second most annoying. The absolute progressive Westoid fags are the worst. But, you know, TISZA already disposed of those before the election, stood away from them. The second most annoying are the blue flag people, right? The absolutely pro-EU global homo retards. And those who think that you know, light and dignity flows from Brussels or some shit like that. So that will be the second most annoying group in Eastern Europe all the time. So it's true here as well. Disposing of those would actually make Magyar Péter more popular. So, you know, it's literally in his interest to dispose of them, and also he can't avoid it anyway. Whether he likes it or not, he'll have to piss them off. I don't know how. Maybe a new negotiation with Russia, or some disagreement with the Commission, or some other controversial vote in the European Parliament where his MEPs will vote in line with the far right, like it happened with Manfred Weber himself has had problems because of the last vote on the deportation bill in the European Parliament. So something like that will happen, and these people are very sensitive. They're very special snowflakes. They're sensitive even to small irrelevant shit. That's why I'm saying that it's unavoidable. He'll have to piss them off. Even if he does nothing, he ends up pissing them off at some point. You know, maybe he fails to retweet Ursula von der Leyen once or whatever. These people are really sensitive. They're very thin-skinned. So I think that will be the first group. After that, well, there'll be dragons.
The healthcare and education.
Yes.
You know, when we were walking along the Danube, there was some guy who was doing something dangerous or whatever. I didn't see exactly. But what I heard was someone else shouting, "Oh, you may do it because now we are going to have healthcare."
Yes. I don't know about education. I honestly don't know anything about the education system in Hungary. I presume it's not significantly different from the one in Romania, which is mostly an indoctrination mill and run by the mafia, and by that I mean the teachers' unions, who are generally grifters of the regime.
Now, I think what's going to happen there, and it's really easy to do, because FIDESZ introduced their own, you know, indoctrination propaganda into the exercise books that they are teaching from, and it's standardized everything, you know, very, very commie shit. And all he has to do is just abolish that and give it to the, you know, the sociologist class, the teachers to come up with a new national curriculum, and they will please, that will please the teachers quite a bit.
How's the pay? Is really shit?
It's really shit.
Well, then I guess
don't know if he can increase it, because you know, that's spending.
That's spending, yes, and a lot of money needs to be kept to reward his.
But you know, just getting rid of the FIDESZ ideological stuff from the curriculum.
He doesn't even have to replace it. Just getting rid of that. That's the very safe option.
Yeah. And that's easy to do. So, you know, he can just replace the standardized books approved by the experts. And that's it.
Okay, fair enough. With healthcare, there I know a bit more. There's not much he can do because the pharma grift has gotten so expensive, as we were discussing in the previous days. So as a result, if he wants more stuff, he will necessarily end up making things worse. So the safe option is to do nothing, really. But if he wants to go full revolutionary, it may be the case, the way our friend was talking about, by just trying to introduce limits on how many services a state clinic can provide, which will necessarily lead to making things worse on both ends. It will lead to firing of medical personnel, but also limits upon the plebs, the consumers. So making things worse on both ends. This was attempted in Romania, and it was such a shit show that even the far left agreed that it should be reformed, and maybe we shouldn't have done that. But some corners of the TISZA coalition, they're touting that as an option to reform. But if they do that, then I suppose there will be more medical tourism from Hungary to Poland and to Romania in particular, which, by the way, weakens the forint even more, because you know, they have to take money from here and spend it somewhere else, which would probably be counterproductive for the balance sheet of the new administration, especially now that it includes some extra money that everyone paid in taxes yesterday by drinking all of the excise taxed alcohol.
Last chances to pay taxes to FIDESZ.
To FIDESZ, yes. So there's that. As for the private sector in healthcare, I don't think I wouldn't expect any loosening of regulation. I don't think any of that.
Which would be the only good option.
Of course, it would be a good option, but I'm saying I don't think it will happen. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think so either.
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong.
It's just simply not what's popular here, and not what anyone wants.
It's quite surprising how deeply unpopular deregulation is in Hungary, even though you guys had a less regulated economy under communism, and in the 90s as well, it was better. Whereas in Romania, we always joke that we're natural commies. Actually, deregulation and shutting down institutions is remarkably popular now, because they all had their time to fail. So.
Yeah, not in Hungary. The way I usually say it is, yes, the EU is commie, but we somehow always manage to be even more commie, particularly with regulations and the bureaucracy, because Hungarians just simply love bureaucracy and regulation. They, of course, all say that they hate it, But in practice, when you, okay, what should we abolish? Well, none of those.
Yeah.
So if I propose something, well, we should abolish this and that, they look at me like a crazy person, because, well, we cannot abolish those regulations. This is absolutely necessary. Okay, then how do you want to decrease the bureaucracy if you don't want to get rid of anything?
I'm still not fully convinced that Hungarian bureaucracy is worse than the German one, but I'll grant it that it is top 3 worst in Europe. I'll grant that. I think the German one is worse. But discounting Germany, yeah, it is pretty thick.
I do have a friend in Germany who says that yes, the German bureaucracy is big, but it's a sort of makes sense big. So the regulations are less stupid. Maybe that may be the case. But I do note that it has the highest VAT in Europe, Hungary, mogs even the Danes. I do note that there's a lot of, even the amount of taxation would be less bad if you just have 1 or 2 taxes. Okay, put them at 31, whatever. Yeah.
But just leave them be for 10 years, don't change them, and we'll adapt somehow. But no, over the last 15 years, it's some of them do increase, some of them do decrease, and there's always a new one.
That was one of the worst things that FIDESZ ever did, is this micromanagement of taxes and regulations everywhere in the economy, and it made the calculation completely impossible.
For the private sector, yes.
For the private sector, and that
planning became impossible.
Yeah, and that costs a lot.
Yeah, what do you mean regulations have a cost? No way. Yeah, but it is. I don't think the new administration will improve anything in that direction unless they are severely compelled, either by the European Commission or something blows up, economically speaking, so badly that they have to. Otherwise, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, austerity will have to happen.
Yes,
and that has to happen whichever group would have won. So it's going to be interesting to see how TISZA is going to do austerity.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they'll just call it austerity and in reality fire some FIDESZ loyalists and they'll be done with it.
Okay, that will be even worse, because then at least if you do austerity, you can balance the budget and stuff like that. But if you're just going to, get rid of some cronies, that's not going to do much.
Yeah, I'm pessimistic because it's a very similar circle of grifters. I mean, Orbán got away without doing austerity.
Yeah.
Twice. So why shouldn't Magyar Péter expect to get away without?
Because the country is a lot more depleted.
True.
At this point.
Yes, although 2009 wasn't fun either. But okay, fair enough.
Yes, but compared to 2019.
Oh yeah, for sure, yes. And to be fair, a lot of that is the fault of FIDESZ.
Exactly.
Especially 2023.
And they can't even blame that on Gyurcsány. They tried, but they can't.
Yeah, no.
No, they blamed it on war and sanctions and shit like that.
Yes, because it's the war's fault that you have an inflation bigger than the country at war.
Yeah. The reason Hungary, that was the official explanation. The reason Hungary has such a high inflation is that because there is a war right next to us. Okay, Ukraine has a smaller inflation and they have the war. And the reason it's smaller is they don't have a war next to them. They are in the war.
Well, they do have a war next to them.
Yeah, Russia.
It's Russia. But yes, fixing that, I don't think there will be a serious attempt. Because the opposition, the coalition that forms TISZA has so many hungry people in them. Okay, Magyar Péter just basically built his own grift. He's not necessarily hungry for money.
Yeah.
But the coalition that builds there, they're hungry.
I mean, that was the first thing that happened under Karácsony, is that he got his own cronies in and paid a bunch of people to these, bunch of money to these people.
Of course.
And well, look at Budapest now; it's worse.
With the exception of cleanliness, I did note that it's a little bit cleaner than even last year, and especially that 2 years.
Yeah, but far more homeless people.
Everything else is worse, yes.
Far more mentally ill people, far more people on drugs. And okay, some of this is the fault of FIDESZ, yes, but not all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of enforcement on homelessness is the fault of the mayor.
Yeah.
The lack of enforcement on some public safety issues is the fault of the mayor. Because again, it was still FIDESZ in power 4 years ago as well. Yeah. And the city was like, again, when I say unsafe, I mean by Eastern Europe standards, it's still in top 20 safest.
You can still walk around at night.
I just did.
Unlike in Western European cities.
Yeah, no, by global standards, it's still in the top 20 safest capitals in the world, for sure. But again, by Eastern Europe standards, it has gotten a little bit worse. It's a little bit more unsafe.
A lot more crazies.
And a lot more crazies. Now, I don't know about the crazies. Did you guys take the American policy of shutting down the asylums?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think they're just underfunded because there's no money for them.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, well, to be fair, I have to agree with Orbán there. We already have enough crazies in government. Why would we need even more funding for crazies? There's that.
I mean, the EU is already funding the crazies.
Yes.
Why should we?
Why should we? Yes. So from that perspective, yes. But what I'm saying is that going back to a slightly more serious point, there are a lot of hungry people and hungry special interest groups that form the TISZA coalition.
Yes.
And while you can easily dispose of the pro-EU fags, all the others, you still have to need them. You can't dispose of them immediately after the win. You'll have to give them something. And that's a lot. That costs money. So that's why I don't expect any fundamental reforms. Again, I hope I'm wrong. And Magyar Péter proves us all wrong again. I don't think so. Because I know the typology of these kinds of... And again, I know the guy. And, come on, it's very difficult to be surprised when it comes to these things. That's why I wasn't surprised when... The fact that he's not even technically prime minister yet, and already in his press conference to be like, yeah, we're going to do FIDESZ light, effectively. Very cheerfully and smiling for, but yeah, basically.
Yeah, and very liberal coded and very EU coded.
Yes.
But essentially saying, well, we are going to do FIDESZ.
Yes. I'm curious to read, when we're recording this, the articles haven't been written yet, but I suspect in a day or two, by the time I film this, you will have read it. I want to read the foreign articles after that long press conference to see how many of them notice that they've been had, effectively. I'm curious how many of them notice. I suspect not many of them, but at least one or two, the older ones, the more experienced journals, they should probably notice that, look, this is FIDESZ with the cute yellow stars in the background.
Again, you have to admire the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional bullshitter.
Yeah, a complete artist.
You would expect that from a lawyer, but the guy is stellar.
But again, you have to be a good bullshitter to out-bullshit Orbán. So.
Yes. Admittedly, with a bit of luck, Orbán got too old, got too comfortable, the whole system, not just him personally. Yeah. But still, smelling the opportunity correctly and taking advantage of it fully and continue to bullshit with a smiley face and out-bullshit the bullshitter in chief. That's amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing. That's why I lost the 100 for it, because I was like, well, but it's still the bullshitter in chief. I mean, it's a difficult task, but,
We underestimated Magyar Péter.
In terms of bullshitology, yes.
In terms of bullshitology,
yes. For sure. I didn't underestimate the campaign. We already said in the pre that his campaign was more professional.
Yeah, we noticed that in Székesfehérvár.
Yes, we weren't trying to be fair or impartial. Yeah. This is not a fair or an impartial podcast, obviously. But in all seriousness, his campaign was more professional, was better fought, better targeted, and so on and so forth. But we underestimated the bullshitology part, which was
to be fair, my predictions were not entirely correct, but I didn't follow the campaign at all.
You did get there will be an increase in Mihozag. It was just smaller than you thought. Higher turnout notwithstanding. I lost the 100 forint because turns out that everyone had their polling wrong, and I totally mean it when I say including TISZA itself. I don't think they expected this result. I think the reason I say this is because Magyar Péter was less happy when the results were announced than before. When he held the first speech on the Danube, he was more cheerful. When the results were announced, was less cheerful. And today was straight up a moderate conservative. Yeah, we're not going to change things too fast. And I don't think he expected this result.
He's at the now what?
Yeah, because, yes, that's what I'm saying. I think everyone's internal polling was shit. FIDESZ's and TISZA's. TISZA was expecting to win, but oh shit, now everything is our fault. Because again, at 2/3, it is your fault.
I heard this story. There was some guy in some African country that was doing the hand signs for people who cannot hear, for deaf people, but he was doing it completely fake, and he made an entire career out of it.
Because nobody bothered to check.
Yeah, nobody bothered to check. And you have to admire the guy who is that good at bullshitting. And that's essentially Magyar Péter for you.
Yes. He's been LARPing as a politician for almost 2 years now, and faked it till he made it. Now he'll actually have to govern.
Yeah.
Which will turn out to be much more difficult, because again, out-bullshitting the bullshitter-in-chief is already a feat. It's a spectacular accomplishment, but then actually governing is a little bit more difficult. Every single revolutionary movement, new political party, whatever, they all struggle with this.
I mean, Kossuth Lajos had a really hard time with it.
That is a nice way.
By the end of it, the Hungarian currency, was worth completely nothing.
Still not as bad as 100 years later.
And the only thing that it was worth was because the Austrians just, still supported the currency somewhat.
Yeah, although Kossuth Lajos's performance was nowhere near as bad as what happened 100 years later, when Hungary established the record that still holds to this day.
Oh, yes.
What was that? 4 times 10 at power of 48% inflation, or something like that. Like some ungodly number.
Then again, that was after a world war, and we were occupied by the Soviets.
Fair, but still, everyone else was occupied by the Soviets in the region, and still didn't.
Yeah, but they were demanding.
Reparations. Yeah.
Which is why the central bank started printing money like crazy.
Yeah, and the conversion was like one entire train car of old forint is one new forint or something like that. Was it Kossuth Lajos that basically emptied the treasury and then went to the United States? I think so.
He took the treasury with him.
Yes,
but he was a grifter before. He took the money of the orphans before that, and that was before he came into power.
Yes, maybe Magyar Péter, that's his backup plan as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was grifting the Diákhitel Központ before.
Yes.
And now he's going to grift the entire country.
It's quite amazing how many of these facts about this guy are completely unknown to our Westoid friends. Whether they like him or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like these basic facts, like the fact that his father was a committed communist, so was his mother. They were both voluntary, unironic members of the Communist Party. It wasn't something that they were compelled into, like it was the case in the Soviet Union. No, they liked it, right? And I think his father also worked for AVH for a while, or something.
I didn't look that up.
Yeah, well, so it's definitely a family that has been around in the circles of power. It runs in the family to grift the circles of power.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not even saying it as a negative judgment. I'm quite the opposite. I'm saying the guy has a pedigree for it. Taking him at his face value and taking his supporters at face value that, we're bringing in hope and change and liberty. No, you're just not getting that. I don't expect many changes, to be honest. I suspect the whole logistics works that are already in progress will just continue. I don't think he'll have a new policy on transportation. The reason I mention it is because I read, I think it was in HVG today, that it said that the transportation policy of Orbán turned out to be deeply unpopular, and I'm like, I don't think so.
The Lazaria? I mean, there was some guy under the last podcast that wrote that I'm an autist, I'm only voting for TISZA because the transportation is terrible.
Yes, but the thing is, I don't think TISZA will change anything other than maybe make sure that if they actually manage to convince the European Commission to unlock the Shekelim, the construction sites that are now stopped because of the sanctions by the European Commission.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll turn those back on because that's easy to do and it doesn't cost him anything. But other than that, I don't think.
But I don't know how he would significantly improve MAV.
MAV, just like most these state companies, not just here, they're usually a slush fund for the circles of power.
MAV was shit before FIDESZ too. So I remember those days. I'm old enough to remember those days.
Yes.
And I'm old enough to remember that education and healthcare was shit before Orbán as well. So
yeah, I suppose MAV wasn't exactly MAV stop, so generalized under before FIDESZ. But then again, in the last 2 or 3 years, it actually improved even under FIDESZ. I suspect that slow improvement will just continue, but I don't think the new administration will change much in the transportation policy. Maybe, and this is the optimistic scenario, that's what I would do if I were Magyar Péter, because it's easy and doesn't cost money. Maybe we'll try to make transfer of goods easier, not necessarily to save the freight traffic, but rather to grift on the geographic position of Hungary, which I still insist that Hungary has a logistical potential that is underexploited, and it's a huge grift potential that would not negatively affect the population. Quite the opposite, it would create new jobs and also increase the slush fund for the circles of power, which I suppose Magyar Péter should be interested in, given that he has a lot of hungry friends and the country is depleted, as you correctly pointed out. But I don't think anything fundamental will change. I just don't think so.
Yeah, me neither.
In terms of transportation, basically nothing. Meet the old new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah.
And I suppose we'll see in a year or so. We'll be looking back at this podcast and see how wrong we were,
or how right.
Or how right. Some of the predictions we made are impossible to miss because the inertia is so long that is, other than, I don't know, cataclysmic stuff, but other than that, I don't think we can be wrong. Oh, the euro currency. There was the commitment that by the end of the TISZA administration, there will be, the euro currency will be replacing the forint.
Yeah, no, especially not if he's keeping Varga Mihály on the job.
Yes, that would be the first clue that he was bullshitting on that.
Yeah, I mean, he already said it. As long as Varga Mihály cooperates, he has no reason to remove him, which essentially means that he acknowledges that Varga Mihály is a necessary guy and he does not want to get rid of him.
That will be one thing. And second thing, to be fair, Magyar Péter said by the end of the TISZA administration, maybe he plans to stay in power for 16 years. I can believe that in 16 years the euro will replace the forint, although I have a hard time believing even that because I don't think the euro currency will resist for another 16 years, but whatever. But to get
I hope you're right about that.
But yeah, but to be fair, Kasi, to join the Eurozone, you first need to get into the exchange rate mechanism, the RM2, which only that takes 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then you need at least a year, preferably 2, of a monetary council and dropping of inflation. Good luck with that.
And also the Hungarian economy is terrible enough already.
Yes.
So do you really want to introduce the euro now?
Yeah, that would be
which is going to make things a lot
worse, yes. I mean, Slovakia joined in a better economic environment and they still haven't recovered from the 2008 crisis to this day, 18 years later. They're still behind where they should be because of the Eurozone. Bulgaria was in the ERM and with the Monetary Council for 28 years before they joined the Euro. And it's still bad, even though they should have been the poster child of the perfect situation to join the Eurozone. And in just 4 months, all of the Bulgarians be like, this was a terrible mistake. And that's why the party that won the election 8 months ago will probably not make it into the next parliament. The elections are this Sunday. So there's that. So the euro currency, just a week before the election, Magyar Péter will put it as a commitment. Will try to join the Eurozone and finally make the country fully Europejski and ÉSZA. I just don't think that's possible logistically. Sounds like the first promise that is easy to break, and blame FIDESZ for it.
I mean, the last time I said that the only thing I know about that guy is that he's already breaking his promises, even though he's not in power yet. So that's not a hard bet that he's going to break plenty of promises.
Right.
And he didn't even promise that much. I mean, most of his promises are just,
Slop.
And he will have to even break those. So,
Yeah, at some point the slop will have to take a break, so something. But yeah, to be fair, there have been very few concrete promises because it was all a very loose coalition of Orbán man bad.
yeah.
Okay, fine, Orbán man bad, you won, now govern. So there's that. But I will also note that the concrete promises that were made were very much unrealistic. They'll have to break some of them or under-deliver. Whether that will be enough for a strong campaign, I don't know. Next time, I mean, in 2030. But in the meantime, I'll probably quote again our friend. If Orbán had won, we would have just laugh at the expense of the liberals, like we've been doing for the last 16 years. But now, because Magyar Péter won, there's a delayed gratification.
Yeah.
We have to wait for a year until we can laugh at the liberals.
Yeah. But it does make for a little bit more of an interesting show today.
For sure, because now we're gonna get a lot
because then we would just had to do the same old like we did with the pre-election podcast, and with the low energy, nothing ever happens shit.
Well, it's still low energy because the prediction is nothing ever happens. So then there's that, but at least now there's the premise that but what if you're wrong? And I'm like, yeah, sure, maybe we're wrong.
Yeah.
But it's very unlikely to be wrong.
Yeah.
And the guy himself confirmed that we're not wrong. So then there's that. But in a year or a year and something, by the next summer, like by next June, let's put it this way, enough time will have passed that I'm unironically already thinking to try to make sure that I'll be here next June. Maybe I'll combine it with the next Gay Pride or something, to do street interviews. How's about a year under the new administration of the Respect and Liberty Party?
How do you like your freedom?
How do you like your freedoms and respect? Maybe by that time there will be some pornographic scandal or something really disrespectful to the voters.
I think that would unironically increase his
You're not wrong.
His popularity because he's good looking and all
yes, because a pornographic scandal is terrible when you look like Orbán, but when you look like Magyar Péter, that's actually not a bad thing. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. One more thing about the third party, right? About Mihozang, they still should probably be celebrating. They kept their voter base, even increased it a little bit, less than they expected, probably less than anyone expected, but still increased it a little bit. They'll probably never be in power, but they kind of stabilized there as a force that just won't go away.
Yeah.
It will be hard to marginalize, and as long as they keep it up like that, at least for the leadership personally of the party, it's probably get a good grift.
Yeah. I mean, Mihozang is going to go on and may even increase later on because now it's a toss-up on what's going to happen electorally in Hungary, because now, okay, TISZA won, but then it would have to splinter, and we would have to see more factions. And they can essentially fish in the chaos.
Yes, and they can fish in all of the ponds at the same time. They can fish disaffected FIDESZ people, and all of this has to be said. There was not a significant but a notable portion of the TISZA vote that were unironic nationalists, patriots, whatever, that you would expect to see either in Mihozang or in FIDESZ. But because they don't like Orbán, they're like, okay, fine, for once we're not gonna, we're gonna go with the flow just so we can get rid of this guy. But okay, now it's gone. Some of those people who are going full football hooligans last night, I don't expect those people to stick around on the left for more than a few weeks or something. At some point, they'll be either going Mihozang or FIDESZ, depending on how the wind blows. So there's that. We didn't mention the reactions from Russia. Apparently...
Oh, they congratulated.
Yes, the official reaction was congratulations for being elected, but the Russian shills, apparently they're quite upset. So they're adding up to the debit of the Danube flowing in from the Danube Institute. Oops. Anyway, apparently the Russian shills are really upset that
they are still on the old software.
Yes.
The Kremlin hasn't updated it yet.
Yes. Well, because there is no internet in Russia, so updating software. A little bit.
And also they haven't, they haven't even wrote the code yet because they don't know what TISZA is. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now Dugin is kind of old, so it takes him a while to figure it out.
No, I mean, nobody knows what TISZA is yet, so they have to wait a bit, and then now we can write the code and distribute it to the shills.
Mm-hmm. Maybe by that time the internet service will be back in Russia, so they can easily distribute the updates. And nobody nknows what TISZA is. I'm pretty sure Magyar Péter doesn't know what TISZA is today at the moment of this recording. He knew 2 days ago, because it's like the force that campaigns to take down Orbán. He had an answer for that. Today, I don't think he has a full answer to that.
Yeah.
He knows what he is, he knows what his immediate circle is, and the ones who ran the campaign, he knows that. But what is overall? I don't know. Is there anything we missed?
Not much, I think. We did talk about Mi Hazánk.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Demokratikus Koalíció.
Miss X Gyurcsány.
Is it true that they divorced for political reasons?
I wouldn't know. Those are all speculations, but it could be unironically the case.
I could see both of them considering that for grift purposes.
But now that she's off the political map, it would be interesting to see if they get back together.
There is a case like that in Romania. They're not politicians, but one of them owns a polling institute and a mini media empire, and the other one is working closer in almost every government as part of the ministerial consultants.
Yeah.
And because there were too many questions asked, they divorced and in a public scandal. And just more recently, someone found out that they actually continue to live together, and they actually never had a...
But Hungarian politics is a soap opera.
Yes.
We have the Gyurcsány family, we have the Magyar family, and actually it would be funny to see if Varga Judit goes back to Magyar Péter. Because there was some bullshitting very early on when Magyar Péter started that Varga Judit is just afraid, and she's being threatened by the titkosszolgálat and Rogán Antal and all that, and that's why she's saying all of these things about me, all of these bad things about me. But don't worry, I will save you.
Imagine, this would be, a twist in the soap opera would be for Judit Varga to be a minister under the Magyar Péter administration.
Back to Justice Ministry.
Yes, back to the Justice Ministry, to doing the same old, and Magyar Péter to come in unironically and without bursting into laughter. To say
and now all of the leftists who, called her a pedo apologizer and all that, now they have to shield for her.
And Magyar Péter to come in without bursting into laughter and saying this is part of the court's reform. And the funny thing is that it wouldn't even be beyond thinking. Again, I've seen this movie before in Romania and in Czechia and the previous administration. These things happen a lot more often than people think. A public divorce followed by a very quiet and unpublic undoing of all of that. And sometimes it's pre-planned, sometimes it's not, but it just so happens a lot more often than people think. Because, the elite is always degenerate. This is true everywhere in the world. And even if it's not pre-planned, the elite changes his mind, because degenerates are unstable people. I should know about that. Quite the thing, true. What's the biggest issue in Hungary that nobody talked about this campaign?
I would have to know what they talked about in the campaign.
Right, fair enough. Let me put it this way. What's the biggest issue in Hungary that should get more attention?
Regulation. Like the bureaucracy. Taxes are terrible. But the worst problem Hungary has is, I think, the
cost of compliance.
It's just simply the size of the sheer size of the bureaucratic state, and its extensiveness and its entire hold on the society. And the problem is that in this environment, the only things that can survive are either internationals or state conglomerates, so the people in the oligarchy. And there is no room for genuine small private enterprise. Those generally get suffocated in such an environment.
Yeah, and this gets suffocated at the mountain of bureaucracy rather than taxation.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, the taxes suck, but really what ruins the Hungarian economy the most is the regulatory system.
Right, so your contention is that we haven't talked about the economy enough.
Oh, I mean, okay, I am biased towards the economy because, I'm an ANCAP, but yes.
Because to be fair, a lot of the foreign press insisted on the economy, but they insisted unironically on the wrong end. But the cost of living, well, true, but that's all downstream.
Yeah. I mean, they did talk about the economy, but, from the usual socialist way of talking about it. So they didn't talk about it in a way like Milei. And that's what really should happen here. A kind of chainsaw politics that we see.
If Hungary were indeed an autocracy, we would just install a Milei and to just go through, go full chainsaw, popularity be damned.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Hungary is not an autocracy.
But the thing is that this genuine getting rid of bureaucrats and state employees, that's not going to happen. That none of the parties promised that. It's vastly unpopular. It's not going to happen. And thus, whatever they come up with, it's just not going to solve the main issue of Hungary itself, which is the overblown bureaucratic state that it lives under.
Unironically, it was less bureaucratic under Gyurcsány, and I know that's.
Oh yes, because that was 16 years ago.
Yeah, it may not be popular to say it, but no, it was less bureaucratic under Gyurcsány.
Yeah, because since then it had 16 years to grow, and nobody ever slashes it. Everybody just grows it, and it was less bureaucratic under Kádár János.
Probably,
and
probably yes, unironically.
And so that's why commies can, unironically LARP that, it was better under Kádár János. In some senses, they are right. But not because it was communist, it was unironically because it was in some respects less communist than what we have now.
Especially in terms of economics.
It affected the lives of average people less than today.
And to make things worse, in some aspects, the average people today don't even know how they're affected by regulations and bureaucracy.
No, they have no clue.
And trying to explain that turns out to be quite a challenge.
Some people just notice a few things that, this is bullshit, this X regulation. But they don't look at the entire picture that this is what it's full of everywhere.
Yeah, it's part of an intentional network of bullshit. All right, now I think we covered enough, and we probably mogged at least half of the Westoid press with this 1 hour and something.
So the soap opera continues, old commies out, new commies in, fascists say, and that's it.
Yes, and most of the reactions from either the pro-Orbán or the anti-Orbán English language commentators that I've got to see so far, again by Monday evening, are about a different country, unironically. Because if you're really happy that the new guy won, then you really haven't been following the politics of this country. If you're really upset that the old guy lost, you haven't been following the politics of this country. So again, there's too much coverage either in favor or against, because that was the coverage, in favor or against FIDESZ. A lot of it is just about a different country. So we tried to at least offer the perspective that is actually experienced here. And in doing so, we pissed off everyone, I hope. And with that, once again, thank you for having me. Thank you all for having the patience to watch these weird things. I hope you enjoyed the relatively cute footage from the celebrations. I'll try to introduce in the middle of the podcast some portions of that, and also, of course, on the Romanian podcast, I'll bring it up again. Hopefully, we get to film this Sunday, unless something happens to me by that time. But if something does happen, then this doesn't get published. So, anyway, that will be pretty much it. Thanks a lot for watching. See you all soon. Cheers.
Auf Wiedersehen.